Wow, that's silly.
It's embarrassing. I have people calling me from New York, California, old colleagues, friends, and family saying, "What's going on in your town?" See, it didn't have to be this way.
Coin flip.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Next one.
Unacceptable, that's what I would say. C'est la vie.
Is the, which is what they're doing.
Oh, Fred is withdrawn, isn't he?
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So then this one quickly. Okay.
Always cracks me up that the owner, Fred's Towing, is the applicant. I was going to ask him, who's Fred? Okay, so we only got one case.
Cut.
That's
All that public.
shooting for.
Well, now that the last stragglers have taken their seats, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the Woodland Park Planning Commission, the regular meeting of August 14, 2014. And the first thing we'll have is a call to order and roll call.
Thank you. DeVoe,
Here.
Watson,
Here.
Mattingly, Mella,
Here.
Probst, Rollinger,
Here.
Schrader,
Here.
Stannard,
Here.
and Vogel. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum this evening with 6 members present.
Shall you join us with the pledge of allegiance to the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing we'll look forward to is an approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Has anybody had a chance to read them?
Yep.
Mr. Lollinger?
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay. Motion to approve by anybody?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor by acclamation say yes. Yes.
Yes.
We'll move to item 4, request and/or public hearings. Item A, CUP 14-003, Fred's Towing, tabled from June 10th, 2014, and July 24th, 10th, 2014. You want me to go on with that, or are we just going to withdraw that?
Right. Basically, the applicant, Mr. David Zeller, has withdrawn his request for CUP just due to wanting to see how the drainage will do during the monsoon season. And so he's withdrawn, and you may see it again in another couple of years.
Okay.
So,
Then we'll move on to CUP 14-004. Lachina Automotive, tabled from July 24th, 2014. Request for conditional use permit. CUP review and approval for Lachina Automotive, located in the Central Business District, Lot 1, Block 1, Workman Subdivision, City of Woodland Park, Teller County, Colorado. More specifically, 115 South Park Street, for the purposes of adding an 800-square-foot building to include one automotive repair bay and associated site improvements. This request is being made by the applicant and owner of Lachina Automotive, Tom Lachina.
thank you. Yes, this request is for our applicant, Mr. Tom Lachina, who is the owner of Lachina Automotive. And we have him here this evening. If there's any questions that you have of him after my presentation and any questions from me, then he could answer those, as well as his architect, Mr. Keith Meyer from Design Works, is also here. So basically, this request is to add to the existing automotive repair structure that is found in the Central Business District. And if you've looked at your table of permitted uses, you'll see that as an auto repair shop in the Central Business District, you have to have a conditional use permit for such a use. And so since we're adding on, we're here to ask for recommendation of approval for this particular permit. We do review this to several sections in our code. 18.23 talks about Central Business District requirements. We look to that for a review, as well as 18.57 for conditional use permit parameters, as well as performance regulations. And again, this is for adding an 800 square foot building with one bay to repair in the Central Business District. This here is a map, a zoning map. It also shows you several area businesses and where they're located in conjunction, as well as the residential. You'll notice that the entire area to the west, as well as to the north and a portion of the east, is zoned Central Business District in the blue. And then you'll also notice to the south we have residential, urban residential, and the area circled in the red is the actual location, Lot 1, Block 1 of a Workman subdivision where Mr. Lachina's lot is located. This is an aerial view of that lot, circled again in red for you. The thing that this shows the most is there are two structures on this lot. To the south, we have a residential single-family home built in the 40s. And then to the north, we have the business where the Lachina Automotive is located in. And it also shows you the area streets. We have to the west Park Street, and to the south we have Grace Avenue as well. There are two ways into his business. There is a driveway to the east of that lot that pulls into the back bay here. And then there's also another ingress-egress off of Park Street that comes into the front of the storefront as well. This is a picture of the site plan, and really it's so small. What it does for you is it shows you again, after that aerial view, the existing business on the site plan, 2,300 square feet total, I believe, with the existing. And then we also have the residential home here, approximately. It's around 1,600 square feet. And this also shows you all the parking, and I'll go into that a little bit later, closer shots for you. And shows you the parking that will be added off of Grace Avenue. These are pull-in parking spaces. And also want to point out to you that as part of their requirements, they will be regrading this area here before they put in the parking to do a positive flow of water into the drainage ditch here, and then also doing concrete cross pans across this ingress and egress off of Park Street, as well as across the area that pulls into these proposed and new parking spaces off of Grace Avenue. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about the parking, because that's so essential when we change a use, especially when we're adding a use. We have to reevaluate the parking, and this is slated in our parking numbers as auto repair, which requires 3 parking spaces for every repair bay. There are 3 existing repair bays, and then 3 spaces, making 9. There is 1 proposed bay with the 800 square foot addition, and that would require an additional 3 spaces. And the residential home on to the south of that lot requires 2 spaces. So there's a total of 14 required parking spaces, and they have provided those spaces. They have 2 spaces that are on-street parking off of Park Street. And these are public parking, but they can be figured into their total. And then they have 5 parking spaces with 1 handicap accessible right here to the front of their storefront. And then there are those 4 pull-in spaces off of Grace Avenue, and then also 3 spaces that are lining the driveway going in off of Grace into their business. And I also have, just to give you a feel for what they've really thought about the use of those parking spaces as well, which is good. The ones that are highlighted in yellow represent where there would be customer parking. If they're highlighted in pink, those are same-day drop-off. So if they're dropping off the car, that's where they will leave it. And also for pickup. So if they're done with it, they'll park it there for them to come pick up. If it's outlined in red, there will not be any overnight parking in those spots at all. If it's highlighted in blue, those are just exclusively for the residential structure for parking for them. If it's outlined in blue, then that is showing that there could possibly be some overnight parking in that area. And I'll point out that this is to the east, and towards the back there's a retaining wall of sorts that separates them from the A to Z storage that lines that driveway. And so it's really not seen well from the streets or from area residences. And then also the blue dashes represent potential areas. It would be rare, but if a customer didn't make it in to pick up their car, it's possible that a car could be left overnight in those. This is the existing west, if you're looking east, the west side of that building, the automotive service. This is looking north from Grace Street, and so it's the south side of that lot. You can see the residential structure here, built in the 40s, and then you can also see the existing storefront to the top here. So when we review a conditional use permit, there are 11 criteria that we must review that conditional use permit to. I'm going to briefly go over each one and tell you what our analysis is of that criteria. The first one is that the proposed use and development shall demonstrate a direct need to be in the location that it's going to be proposed to be in. And of course, this repair service has been in existence for the last 20 years. And we're just adding to that an additional bay, 800 square foot structure. And this area has been zoned commercially in one fashion or another over the last 40 years. And it does fit the intent of the Central Business District zone in that the intent is for downtown commercial businesses that you can get to either on foot or in vehicle. And also want to point out that with the automotive repair service, almost all of the zones that we have that are commercial do require it be done with a conditional use permit, other than the neighborhood commercial zone, which does not permit it, and that is simply because it's our lowest impact zone. And normally this is the zone that we will have adjacent to residential zones to create a barrier between the two. And they have we have assessed and they have mitigated several of their impacts from drainage, parking, and also traffic. Criteria number 2 is talking about not endangering the public health or welfare. And this new addition will meet International Building Code. It'll also meet fire regulations when it goes through its commercial ZDP and building permit process. Third criteria is that it will not substantially injure or the value of vicinity properties. And this is mostly zoned commercial in the surrounding area, other than to the south where there are residences to the south, and those residences they've been close to this use for the last 20 years. So again, we're just adding to a use that's already existing. They did have an assessment of the impacts to vicinity properties done by Mark Weaver, who is a broker for Ascent Commercial Group. And he stated, and I'll quote this, since La China already is a commercial use, the neighborhood is already in a commercial corridor, I find that such factors are currently in place regarding the property values and new activity relating to these factors, especially proposed construction to upgrade the existing improvements, will have little to no effect on property values in the area. Also, we did undertake the public notification process. There was one response that we received in reaction to that public notification process. That was from Mr. Kelly Radamel, and I have included in your staff packet that email that we received from him regarding the parking and the potential congestion concerns that he had for that. We also have criteria number 4, which says that the use shall be in harmony with the area that it's located in. And this, again, is Central Business District zone. The intent is there. It's been the zone commercial for 40 years. It's also been a repair, automotive repair for the last 20 years. This is just an expansion. Criteria number 5 is that it shall conform to all city plans. This would include growth plans. It includes any utilities, transportation, downtown redevelopment. The comprehensive plan map actually shows this area as mixed use and is proposed mixed use in the future, which makes it commercial or residential fit compatible. Development also lends to the comprehensive guiding principle of economic diversity and vitality. And I'll go in a little bit more with transportation, utilities, drainage, and further in. Criteria number 6 asks that it conform to all city regulations. We've reviewed the elevations, floor plan, and site plan. We feel that they meet the zoning and relevant city requirements, and they've agreed to the few last additional red lines for drainage mitigation have been redlined in and are a requirement and a condition to put into the site plan for the commercial zoning and building permit development. Criteria number 7 is that this particular development and use shall be designed and constructed to accommodate on-site and off-site traffic. There was a trip generation letter also included in your packet. It talks about generating an average of 12 trips, and for new trips, really just 2 trips during the peak AM and PM hours, which it does not justify any further traffic studies. Or the city engineer has also reviewed that and found that acceptable. Parking requirements have been met. I went over that a little bit earlier. So 14 are required, 14 are provided. The Woodland Station also, just to point out, is developing in the future. We're looking for it to develop, and there will be other uses that will be coming into this area. And potentially, and there will be opportunities more than likely for traffic to be looked at, and road improvements as spawned by new uses. Criteria number 8 talks about it having the appropriate regard to topography and environmentally significant features. And the topography here is relatively flat. There's no significant challenges there. There is an additional impervious area when they go to asphalt the parking, and they're going to be regrading that and also making sure there are cross pans and appropriate driveway cuts that meet the engineering specifications for the city. And so those will be added to, again, the site plan for the commercial development, the last red lines. Criteria number 9 talks about proposing a use that has adequate water supply, protection methods, and water drainage. And this is served with city water and sewer. The utilities director has reviewed and approved it. And the commercial remodel and zoning and building permit process will spawn a review of the fixture unit count, which will also evaluate the tap size and capacity to make sure that that's working with the new development, the new addition, Drainage will be handled with regard to grading and appropriately diverting the water, and then also putting those cross pans in and driveway cuts to meet engineering specifications, and air is a minimal impact here. Criteria number 10 talks about the use being designed and constructed to not unduly increase public danger with regard to fire hazards or other safety issues to the public in the general area, and there are no safety hazards here. Fire has reviewed the site plan thus far and approved, as well as our city engineer and inspector and environmental health. And it'll go through another review when we have the commercial development, CDP, and building permit process. So it'll meet IBC and fire regulations. Criteria number 11 talks about the use, ensuring that we provide for architectural design, amenities, and other aesthetic enhancement measures. And this structure will have a stuccoed exterior and matching asphalt shingle roof to the main commercial structure, and the lighting will meet our requirements for full cutoff and not provide trespass or glare to the adjacent property owners. So we're recommending approval of this conditional use permit for commercial development addition of a new 800 square foot repair bay in the Central Business District located at 115 South Park Street, and subject to the following conditions. And those are that prior to the issuance of the zoning development permit, the new addition of 800 square foot building, and applicant will provide the following to the Woodland Park Planning Department. All related site improvements must meet current city engineering specifications and be inspected to the satisfaction of our city inspector. The final commercial development site plan submittal must incorporate all site plan review comments to the reviewer's satisfaction, and any final signage must be approved and reviewed as a separate permanent sign ZDP by staff, and also that final lighting must be pre-approved by staff prior to being installed and be full cutoff, dark glare to reduce potential glare to the residents to the west and to the south, actually to the south, in accordance with the section 1833080F of our code. And so with that, I ask you if you have any questions of me. Yes.
Yeah. With respect to Mr. Rotemill's concern about parking, was anything evaluated in terms of his number one recommendation, the first one, which is asking for kind of a little area of forgiveness on that south entrance and no parking area? Was it determined that this is legitimate, or was it dismissed as not?
Yeah, we did act upon that. We did send that to our city manager, David Buttery, as well as our city engineer, Bill Allsbach, and asked them to just take a look at that, to make that look at. And they also pulled in the police chief, I believe, Bob Larson, to look at that as well. I'm not sure what's been determined with that, and I don't know if they'll wait until, future development starts to increase and traffic increases. The trip generation letter, though, does not justify us, requiring anything be done.
So his concern might have been somewhat a concern at a lesser magnitude before this request. I mean, if you're adding only a couple trips a day,
right,
and it's not been a problem historically,
right.
That's the only thing that struck me as being a little bit. This is a very modest increase.
Right. Yeah.
So,
which is the importance of the trip generation letter to understand if that use is really going to create the burden, or if it's already.
Is it going to trigger something which
right.
take it to our? Okay, good. So if there's anything significant, we'll learn later from
right.
Mr. Buttery and Mr. Larson's analysis.
It's been passed to them to look at.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is the residence currently occupied that's on the property?
I believe so.
Is it? Yeah.
Mr. Lucchina is saying yes.
Yes.
And I believe
is
he
it a
rents
rental?
that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's a rental?
Yes.
Okay. it appears from the drawing that the addition is quite close to the residence, and I'm guessing maybe that's the back of the residence. Does it,
Side.
the residence fronts on Grace?
Right,
Is that
right.
Well,
Well,
what's-
it's set back a bit from
But- but-
Grace,
but
but
what's the-
it faces Park Street.
What and I guess my question is, what's the space? What's the distance?
Between the new proposed addition and the
Exactly.
residential. It is, I know that it's over 4 feet. No, is it 2 feet? Oh, it's, excuse me, I misspoke.
Mr.
18
Lachino owns
inches.
that property. It's one single lot, so there's not a lot line issue, I believe.
It has been reviewed, I can tell you, by our fire department, Netco, which would be most concerned
Okay.
with that distance between the residential structure and a proposed structure, and there were no comments that came back with concerns for that right at this moment. So they approved, so I have to go with that.
No,
that was
that's fine,
looked at.
but you know, that was my question.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Question that I have,
Yeah.
would you go back to that slide that you showed with the other residents, that one picture? Now forward. Keep going. It was your color shot.
This one?
No, keep going. It was a photograph. It was taken from the corner, looking north.
Looking,
North.
yeah.
Good north?
Oh, right. Okay, I know what you're talking about, the existing conditions photo.
Okay, I'm assuming, and when the lights were off, that the residence had its own parking, correct? That doesn't show on that drawing? They can pull up there in front of the house?
Right, right. And let me show you that parking again. The shaded blue area here is what is proposed parking for, specifically
residence.
for that residence. Mhm.
So 2 of those will be for the people for overnight?
Yes,
Okay,
these
the picture
will,
that you had a lot of sand on the sidewalk.
right.
So is there a drainage problem there?
That's all going to be updated with curb and gutter through here, as well as cross pan across this area between the 2 curb cuts that enter into those pull-in parking spaces. Yes, and city engineer and city inspector have been working very closely with me, as well as with Mr. Keith Meyer, to make sure that
Okay.
those things are considered, and they feel that that's adequate for this.
Hey, John, that's, most of that dirt's from the fence to the ditch, that's all gonna be gravel.
Okay.
That's not gonna, that's where it all.
Where the erosion took place
Yeah,
there?
all from the building.
So the applicant, just said that it's,
Also, what happens,
Most-
John, is there's water comes down the street and actually crosses over the asphalt as it is now,
Gotcha.
and washes across that gravel area, and that's where you see a lot of washout. And when we do all this cross pan work and stuff in here, that should eliminate most of that.
it's coming down from,
This gets curb and gutter right here too, so this gutter will catch that. Cross pan should catch a lot of it coming off the street and funneling into the ditch. So we should eliminate almost all that water going across that area, and then this is all curb and gutter too.
Okay. The things that the Redomerals brought up about getting their semis in there, I went by there this afternoon. And if there's parking on both sides of that street, right up close to that south curb on the west side of Redomeral's property there, semi couldn't make that turn if there was cars on both sides. Could not.
They should have thought of that before they built it. You know, that was the whole, I brought that issue up when they built that there wasn't enough room for a semi.
So but they're making it now. So what I'd recommend that we do is not making it a condition, but make it to the point that we wait and see what the city engineer, because they have more expertise than we do on that stuff, come up to say, would you take 20 feet of that southwest side, paint it yellow, no parking here to curb or something, so a semi could swing in there. But, I mean, that should be based on the evaluation of the report you don't have yet.
right, right. Yeah, they're not required to provide an in-depth traffic study based on the numbers that have been shown.
Well, not a traffic study. The access of
The
a semi
parking.
turning in there.
Yeah.
See these
Not parking.
Spaces, existing spaces, that's where the semi gets stuck, right here. If there's a
Right now
car-
they do?
Right, if there's a car parked here, it has to be moved. And most of this parking's mostly used for Hungry Bear anyway.
Where's their entrance at?
It's over, you can't.
It's on the other side, right? You can't see it.
Further to the north.
It's to the left.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Oh,
The
for
States
Woody
was
Station.
made way long time ago, and I brought that up when they were building that, I said, there's not gonna be room for a semi, and they still did.
They're coming up from the south now and getting in there that way. Is that how they're in?
Well, they're coming in this entrance down here.
They're coming in the other entrance.
Right. They do attempt to come in here, but the spa has the same problem as they do, the spa deliveries.
So they have an alternative way of getting a freight box in there.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They do, I've seen them do
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, so this doesn't materially change the kind of structural problem they've had historically, right?
These two spots were built last year, when they redid some of those parks
All right.
and stuff,
But before they were in? Before they were in?
before they were in. Well,
Okay.
When they were in construction, these two spots were also constructed last
It was last spring.
last
It
spring.
was last spring that those 2 parking spaces were added.
But they can get in and out of that other
Oh, yeah.
entrance on,
The
on,
hardware store has another entrance.
Yeah,
from,
I've seen
I
them
would
do
think
it.
it's the south side.
I've seen trucks pull it.
Yeah, that's a huge entrance.
I'll shut up now.
Yeah. So there's no need to take away street parking. I mean, we
Okay.
lack parking in this town
That's the key,
anyway.
is
Sure.
that nothing's changed, and this won't
Gotcha.
materially
All right.
change.
No, no.
I was just addressing their concern, but it must not have been enough of concern because they didn't show up tonight.
Right. Any questions?
No. Now, we thank you for the staff's presentation. We're totally out of sequence here. And now we'll go to the applicant's presentation, if there is one. Go on.
Just whatever questions you have, Lisa did a pretty good job. It's pretty simple, it's 800 square foot addition. It's an area that used to have a fence in front of it, and you had cars and parts and stuff behind that. Now we're enclosing and creating a new service bay. And he's already replaced the storefront and done some other upgrades on the existing building. So
I'm assuming that the final working drawings will show a filter to catch anything coming off the cars that don't go into the sewer system. You got to have that kind of a,
he doesn't have an in-floor drain system.
No.
you're not going to have any floor
No,
drain in there.
no,
He cleans it up every day.
no. Yeah.
Saves you about a $5,000 drain.
They're paying,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And the whole thing, it's actually a benefit for the city because it's going to take away an eyesore.
Well,
Because
it's
right
gonna
now,
look-
right now,
It's going to look nicer.
yeah. So, I mean, it's a good thing.
Do we have any more questions between staff or applicant?
Very clear.
Has a contractor been selected at this point? Okay.
We've had a couple look at it, just from pricing standpoint, but we haven't bid it out yet.
How's business, Mr. Lachina?
It's not too good, really. No, it's good. Everything's good. It's good.
Good.
This is good.
You have to
It's,
make it bigger to attract more people, I understand.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's actually, you know, I use that area to work anyway. I mean, it's outside working, so I mean, it's, you know, so I figured I'd enclose it. I really don't use it for parking.
Your employees will appreciate in the wintertime to be indoors.
They will, yes.
And-
Very
and
much so.
because of the way this is located and the size of the door and stuff, you'll be able to get larger vehicles in this bay, motorhomes, whatever. So then we don't have to work with it outside like you do
Sure.
right now, and the bit larger stuff.
I see this in a similar light to the request we had from Vashholz. Was it last year, Sally? I don't know, time flies.
Couple, 3 years.
Or was it 2012, whatever it was.
You don't look any older.
And it, thanks. And, you know, his property looks great. What huge improvement. And I'm very optimistic that this will have the same result.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, my asphalt's ate up, and it's pretty ugly, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We'll open up the public comment. Seeing nobody signed up on the list and no hands being raised, We'll close the public comment. Okay. I don't think we have to worry about rebuttal from the applicant. Any final questions from the commission? You're on a case tonight, so we're just stretching out a little bit. We would encourage a motion in a second.
Move to approve CUP 14-004 with its stipulations.
Second?
Have a motion and a second?
Thank you. DeVoe,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Mella,
Yes.
Rollinger,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Stannard.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. This will move forward to the city council's agenda next week for first reading and then setting the public hearing for September 4th. Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Chairman's report, I have none. Commissioner's report, anybody have anything they'd like to talk about?
Well, actually, I do have a question for staff. The, what was it called? Catamount Motorsports that we looked at, time is flying, who knows, maybe it's been 2 years. There appears to be a fruit and vegetable vendor on that site. Is that a permitted
Taylor.
use, or?
Yeah, that's Taylor's Produce, and they actually have a vendor permit to allow them to do that.
Good.
So-
It's a nice looking,
Beaches.
Where else do you get Cascade peaches or?
it's a nice looking spread.
Yeah.
I just was curious if that was, thanks.
Absolutely.
Sally, it's time for your report.
Thank you. The first thing I'd like to mention is that everybody is aware that the Pro Challenge is coming to Woodland Park a week from tomorrow. And we have some brochures for you if you haven't already seen them. Hopefully you can take the day off and participate in the event. But I did want to mention that next Monday at 6:30 in the evening, the Chamber of Commerce is going to host an information session, and if businesses or residents want to go learn about what to expect on Friday the 22nd, then they'll be able to understand the road closures, the event taking place, and so we encourage anyone, especially the business owners along Main Street, to be fully informed of what to expect on Friday the 22nd. The race will begin at 11:20 in the morning. They'll do a couple of loops around Highway 24 and then head on out to Breckenridge. So it will be a very exciting day, a lot happening, and in fact, the events start kicking off tomorrow evening with the art walk and the movie on the green at the Cultural Center. So all those events are listed in the brochure, but if you really want to understand what is going to happen on that Friday, 6:30 Cultural Center, and Debbie Miller promises that everyone will be out of there in an hour or less, but that is the informational meeting, kind of a town hall for you to be able to ask questions and get all your information.
Parking will be a premium on that Friday. All the schools are let out to come out to it. Thursday afternoon, they're putting cones in all the parking spots downtown. And there will be no parking at the Cultural Center or the big parking lot behind where the buses come in from Cripple Creek, because that will be media going in there. So if you plan on coming down there, you really need to get a jump on that for parking. I don't know if they're going to do the shuttle like they do from the high school. I don't know if that's part of the plan or not, like they did last weekend.
To do what?
To bring people down, because it's going to be very crowded down
They're
there.
shuttling from the churches and the parking.
Are they? They're doing that again? Because that might be a wise way to do that, because it's really going to be crowded. There's going to be tens of thousands of people in town.
Church is out on Rampart.
Yep.
They're gonna have parking in the church lots
Okay.
and buses back and forth.
That will be very, very crowded.
Okay.
At a great time.
Yes, and then as far as your upcoming schedule, we are canceling the meeting on the 28th, so you can take that day off. September 11th, we probably will have a meeting, even if it's just a workshop on the comprehensive plan action items that we discussed a couple of months ago, compiling all the information from all the departments and putting those updates into the comprehensive plan. I'd like to have a workshop with you all to review those before we have our public hearing scheduled. And then we do have a case that looks like it's going to land on the September 25th agenda. So things are busy in the department. We have our monthly report on your table, and see that our value of building permits that have been issued jumped significantly up to over $45 million. A chunk of that was the $25 million Phase 2 of Womack Industry, Womack's Charis Bible College. So we're excited about kicking off the second phase for the Bible College. We also feature a photo of our new staff and welcome to the back of the room Terry Waller and Dave Burgess, so they're getting acclimated. We also included our building inspector, John Dickey, who is here now every day for a few hours each day doing inspections and manning our office. So a lot going on, and more will be coming forward for you all to be considering.
What's phase 2 of the of Womack?
Phase
Does
2.
that include dormitories?
It does not. This is the building, the classroom building that primarily features the auditorium with 2,500 seats, as well as additional classrooms, office, call center, an indoor parking garage for 32 cars.
And
So
a maintenance building, I think, too. isn't it?
the maintenance building is under construction as well.
Right. That's going to be a big undertaking, that new auditorium.
We're going to need some hotels to support that.
And we have had several people come talk to us about expanding lodging in the community. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow with a potential client.
What's the timetable for the dorms to be built on campus? I mean, just roughly, next year, year after?
They're not moving on housing. However, I did meet with a housing study person today who is looking at that, but we haven't seen anything formal come forward.
They'd have 1,500 people in there this week from all over the world, actually.
They're doing a lot of busing from the Springs.
They are.
I have had requests for what's going on with Arby's.
Spoke with Dave Langley this week as well, and they are behind on their plans. He hopes to get them submitted soon. So we're expecting a ZDP and building plans hopefully before the next couple of weeks.
There are some anxious Arby's folks that want Arby's to open. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.
You sure that's me?
I stole them from Butter yesterday.
It came in the mail.
I hear you. Oh, they came.
Are you sure that's me?
Oh, good.
Everyone in the community.
Excellent.
So it's like Versat's coffee?
Great.
Homemade?
So,
All right.
Mention your in